This is Life Body Business Impact with Fatima. Welcome friends, I am so grateful to have you here. I'm your host, Fatima Ingalls, fitness expert, best-selling author, lifestyle entrepreneur, founder of the Life Body Business Fit Systems and co-founder of the amazing Freedom Retreats. My mission is to positively impact 10 million lives, to inspire you to wake up and live from your bucket list of dreams instead of waking up one day with a bucket list of regrets. Get ready to be inspired with weekly episodes and interviews that disrupt your thinking and motivate you to build your best life, body, and business. To change one life is to change many, so come with me now and let's get started with yours. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another interview and episode. Today, I am chatting with Mitch Villani, who is a Heal Thyself coach, an iridologist, and former semi-pro ice hockey player and Australian representative. Now, Mitchell was not always a health coach. It was his own journey that set him on this path. His career as an ice hockey athlete was cut short when injuries led him to endure chronic nerve pain for years. The painful journey broke Mitchell physically, financially, spiritually, and mentally. He became addicted to pain medication, which led to an onslaught of side effects, such as depression and suicidal inclinations. But he is a long way from where he was now. He has healed and now helps others heal their own health conditions with alternative health practices. Mitchell, we are blessed to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you so much, Fatima. It's an absolute blessing to be here. So I'm excited to have a chat with you.
I'm excited to chat with you and learn from you as well. So let's get straight into it. Why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about your life as an athlete before your career-ending injury? What were your hopes and dreams, and what happened when you realised this was ending?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I used to play ice hockey, and hockey's been a big part of my life since the age of 11. Always been playing inline hockey and ice hockey, and just worked really hard. I was that kid, and some people might be able to relate to this. I was always getting cut from the state teams. I was never really great in the beginning, so I worked really, really hard on mastering that skill and getting much better, and that actually created this really competitive nature in me. And eventually, through about 5 years of working in hockey, I ended up started making state teams. I started playing for Australia, and I had the opportunity to go live in Canada for a year as well. So that's where I learned a lot of my skill sets. Coming back to Australia from there, that's when I was at the age of 16. I really started just putting all my eggs in one basket and really wanting to not only play for the Adelaide team. We've got right now here in Adelaide, we've got the Australian Ice Hockey League and got the Adelaide Adrenaline. Back then it was called the Adelaide Avalanche. So yeah, I had many years there. So I played 5 years in that league and got to play in the Australian men's division as well. So I was very fortunate of how my hard work really paid off. It wasn't just something that I woke up and was naturally gifted at this sport. So it was for me in 2010. So during this time as well, a little bit of a backstory. Again, I'm not a very tall player or a tall person. When I describe myself, I want to say I'm fun-sized. So when I play against other players, they're normally a lot taller than me. They're around the 6 foot, 6'3", even some being extremely tall at 6'6". And I'm at like 5'6". So it's a bit of a difference in weight. And ice hockey is a very, very physical sport. So the one skill that I had to be really great at was my agility and my speed to get out of dangerous situations of being hit by these players. That didn't always work out. So sometimes I'll get hit badly, and I ended up, during my career, I've had 3 left shoulder reconstructions.
Oh, wow.
And broken a few bones, and I've dislocated my right shoulder a few times as well.
Just in a day's work, Mitchell?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was it wasn't always like, yep, I'm just doing great. I had a lot of time off during my career, rehab, surgeries. But I love the sport so much that I just kept pushing myself, even when I probably shouldn't have. And so it was in 2010 where I had to retire, had to hang up my skates, just because I dislocated my shoulder again. And basically the doctor said, look, if you keep going, you won't be able to lift a cereal box by the age of 50. You're going to create that much arthritic pain in the shoulder. So I was like, okay. And that was heartbreaking, really heartbreaking.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When you work so hard on something and it's your dream, it's your passion, because not only did I just not want to play in Australia, I'd love to play in Europe at a semi-professional level. That was my dream. That was my desire that I was really aiming for. But my body decided to take a turn, and I had to listen to it. And during that time, it was really tough because when you have an identity, especially when I was very proud of what I achieved because I worked so hard on it, like anyone would work so hard on either their career or as mothers working on their children and wanting to bring them up, and anything that we put a lot of time and effort into, we start identifying ourselves to that thing. And when that thing is no longer a part of you, it's like ripping like part of your body off. It's just like when I used to introduce myself to people like, what do you do? It was like, oh, I play ice hockey for Australia. I do this. I was very proud of that. And when I couldn't play anymore and people were like, what do you do? I really didn't know what to respond with. It felt like I lost my identity. And that's when I first went through my first bout of depression, which I had no idea what depression was at that time. That was in 2010.
How old were you then?
I was 20, 21 was my age then. And so I was just, and the hardest part about that was I was just reaching my prime. So, it wasn't like I achieved all my goals and I was happy to retire. I was like just starting to get into it. And that was probably the biggest thing to handle and let go of. So having to give up hockey, I started focusing on my professional career in finance. So I was actually studying a double degree in finance and international business, and did that, but I was really struggling to complete that, but I did. But that was just because I was so depressed and I didn't have that outlet that hockey used to give me. And over the years, all I did was just got into the financial environment and started doing that and started climbing the corporate ladder, as one does. And because that's just a part of who I am, everything I put my energy towards, I want to do really well. So during this time, it was around 2013, so about 3 years had passed by now, that I had rehabbed my shoulder, everything was feeling really good, and a couple of my friends were just like, Mitch, you should come back and play some hockey again, just like beer league. Like, I was like, that sounds like a great idea. So I ended up playing just like a B league, no contact, and I had so much fun. Once we can get back into our passions and things that we used to do as a kid, life really starts to get exciting. So I was, for about 2 years there, I was playing non-contact hockey and having an absolute blast. But the confidence grew back.
And the risk-taking, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and the risk-taking. So I got invited to play for a national tournament here in Adelaide. So he was playing what we call the Browns tournament, which is an open men's tournament, state tournament. So, South Australia, Victoria, Queensland, WA, and that was full contact. And I hadn't played full contact in 3 years. And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm going to take the risk. I'm really up for it. And it was a great experience. I was so nervous for trying out for a team. I haven't tried out for a team in so long that, but it worked out really well. I ended up becoming captain of that team. It was the first tournament South Australia's ever won a gold medal. We were undefeated. I was highest point scorer. It was an amazing, I was like, oh my gosh, felt like I was my old me again. But when in ice hockey or in footy or anything like that, when you've got a good player who's really got a lot of points up on the scoreboard, you try to take them out of the game, or you try to man up on them and try to reduce their ability to make an impact. So we played against Queensland in the grand final, and it was actually, I found this out 2 years later, that the coach of Queensland sent a player out there to hurt me on purpose, to take me out of the game. And it was in the second period. So in ice hockey, you have 3 periods. So they're 3 20-minute periods. And it was in the second period that I went into the boards. So if anyone doesn't know too much about ice hockey, there's boundaries within ice hockey, and they're like walls, and they're called boards. So the puck was at the boards. I went to the boards, and I got hit. This guy came and hit me in the back, which you're not allowed to do. It's a very dangerous hit. And I went head first into the boards, and I was going quite quickly. That resulted in me dislocating both my shoulders, cracked a rib, and didn't know that at the time, but I protruded 3 of my discs in my neck.
Oh my goodness.
Which caused an onslaught of pain, for a few years.
That sounds horrific.
Yeah, so it was pretty much the equivalent of being in a car accident. But when you're in that adrenaline state, for me, obviously, I don't recommend this. It was very stupid of me and a very prideful thing, but I put my shoulders back in. I was the captain. I didn't want to show that I was hurt when I really was, and I finished the game and we won. But when I was in the change room celebrating with the team, my body went into shock. And my heart rate was at, I think it was close to 180 resting heart rate. And
oh my goodness.
I got rushed to the hospital. And then through that, they did some scans and found out all the injuries that I had done to my body. So yeah, that's what started this journey of being in massive pain. That's how it began, is through hockey.
That injury absolutely sounds horrific. I was
Yeah.
wondering, in relation to the injury and the speed, what sort of speed are you going at when you're playing ice hockey? Do you know?
Yeah, like top speed, you can get to like 40 to 50. You're going really, really fast. Like if you're skating without any type of hit or anything like that. So this is kilometers. They say ice hockey is the fastest sport in the world without machines.
Wow. And then
So
to have that connection with that other player at the same time, no wonder it was like the force of, being in a car accident and the injuries that you received. So that was in 2013.
that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So obviously you had to retire, and I'm imagining you had a major journey on your hands. What
Yeah.
happened
So,
after that? Like, you'd been in depression. Did the depression continue?
well, yeah, the depression became a lot worse. So yeah, the depression beforehand started to go away because I got to play hockey again. I got to do what I love doing. But this pain, like nerve pain, I don't know if any of your listeners are going through this, but it was much, much different to anything I'd felt before. Muscular pain, dislocations, broken bones. I knew what that pain was, but this other pain, I was just like, there's something wrong with my body, and I don't know what's going on. I could barely. I don't know if you've ever woken up with like a crooked neck, like you slept the wrong way and your neck's really stiff. And
Yes.
barely move, and you have to twist your whole upper torso to see around you. That's what it was like for me for about 2.5 years. So
I can't imagine like the amount of pain, especially with all the injuries that you have experienced. I had a disc protrusion or a herniation between my L5 and S1 some years back, and I never experienced that sort of nerve type pain. So to magnify it probably by 10, if not more, for what you have gone through, I definitely would not want to experience that. So
yeah,
where did you
it's
go
exhausting.
from
Where did
there?
I
Like,
go?
2013, you had all this pain and injury. You would have been on medication. What happened between then and you coming to this point of healing yourself and turning to alternative medicines? You said you had suicidal inclinations, and obviously the depression got worse. Talk us through that little period before you decided to go onto this journey of alternative healing.
Like anything, when we go through the pain or disease or chronic disease, and we're not too sure what it is at first, we just know something's not right with our body. We go to the doctor, right? Like we go to the doctor and explain our symptoms, and they will do our best to go, okay, maybe you have to just go see a specialist. So you go to a specialist, and then obviously that's what I did. But unfortunately for me, that's not what happened at first. Is they just thought it's something else. So they just maybe like have Panadine Sport, have this, and all these type of drugs, anti-inflammatory drugs. They don't even touch the side of nerve pain. But what they do is they actually can create a lot of issues within the stomach and create stomach ulcers. So I was on these type of drugs for about 3 months doing nothing. And so eventually I actually saw an osteopath. So they end up saying, look, I think you have protruding discs in your neck that are impinging on the nerves. Go get an MRI. So I got an MRI, and the osteopath was correct. In my C4, C5, C6, I had 3 protruding discs impinging on my nerves. And for those who don't understand nerve pain, it's not just in the area of, for me, the neck. It's a referral pain as well. So it goes in the back of the shoulder, into the traps, the back of the forearm, and into my left hand. So it was all on my left side of the body. It was just referring like a sharp pain, dull pain. Felt like it was burning. Sometimes it felt like it was ice cold. But the worst thing about nerve pain is it's constant. It never goes away. It's always there, either at a 3 or at a 10. And it's just exhausting. Being in pain all the time is the most exhausting thing. So whoever is going through nerve pain and maybe listening to this, I understand, and you're not alone, and it can be healed. So from that point, I was like, I'll go see a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, a specialist in that. And it was probably a really good conversation I had with a neurosurgeon, being at 26 at this time. And he just said, look, you're the perfect candidate to do surgery on. What we need to do is fuse all 3 discs. And he goes, but because, normally this is done on 50 plus year olds, but he said, this surgery can be very dangerous. If we make one mistake on the nerves, you potentially could become a quadriplegic.
Oh my goodness.
That's the risk involved. And I was like, oh my God, as a 26-year-old, you're sitting there going, hang on a second, look at, and I said, what's the risk? And he said, look, it's low, but it could be high as well. We're not too sure. It could be like a 25% risk. And I'm like, that's 1 in 4 chances of me becoming a quadriplegic.
That's a pretty big risk.
Yeah. Like I've made bets that are higher risk like that. Like I was just like, I wouldn't want to risk my life on this. So I was very, very scared. And I don't know, when fear really hits someone, like even if people go into a specialist and say, you've got cancer or you've got, this and this, straight away, you think the worst scenario. And when fear kicks into your system, straight away that will increase stress, and straight away that will increase inflammation. and that inflammation will create more pain or more disease in the body, which it did to me. So here I am at 26, freaked out of my mind, going, what the heck do I need to do? But the best thing the specialist said to me is like, look, do everything you possibly can first before doing surgery. This is your last option. I'm like, okay, done. So went back to the doctors. They prescribed me with nerve painkillers this time. So this time I was taking drugs called Endone, Targan, and Lyrica. And I hope if anyone is on these drugs that's listening, do your very best to get off these things ASAP. These things are complete poison to your body. For someone who's ever had Endone can really just make you kind of be out of it. I was taking, at the end of my 6 months of taking these drugs, I was taking them for 6 months. I was taking 8 Endone a day, about 600 milligrams of Lyrica, and I forget how much Targan. And Targan is what they call the brother of heroin. So it would help me just knock me out and go to sleep, but I'd wake up feeling hungover, very foggy, brain fog, to the point where, here's a great example. So these 3 drugs, side effects, and we need to be aware of what these drugs do. The 3 main side effects for these drugs were loss of concentration, depression, and suicidal inclinations. Well, I got all 3 quite badly. I was working in the finance industry still, and my performance at work definitely dropped.
I was about to ask about that. How did you manage, whether you were still working, and how you managed to work in that field of finance while dealing with all of this and being on these drugs with these major side effects?
I didn't manage well, Fatima. That's it. I would say I was like a functioning drug addict. Like I just wake up, take my drugs, go to work, take my drugs, get home, take my drugs, just to get me through the day. And when we take drugs, especially painkillers, the body starts to become very used to it, and it doesn't have the same effect that it normally would. So we have to increase the dosage. So, and then by increasing the dosage, obviously it's going to do more damage long term. So, painkillers are a great thing. Like they are amazing. However, we need to start working with the Western medical system of how we can incorporate them, but also have a plan to get off them quickly, and incorporating health principles to get off them quickly. Normally that's not the case. It's like, just take this drug and, you're going to be on this for the rest of your life. And that's just not a smart tactic. It's just a band-aid treating a symptom. It's not actually going to the root cause of the issue. So yeah, being on these drugs at work was very difficult. And I remember one day in particular, and this is when I quit my job, because I just knew this was not getting any better. I had a very big, high-paying client, and I had my assistant put the phone call through to me. He's like, hey, this person's on the call. I'm like, yep, put them through. And within the time that they put them through to me on the phone, I answered the phone call and said, hi, Mum, how you doing? And my boss was looking at me going, Mitch, it's not your mum, mate. Like, get off the phone. What are you doing? And I just was like, where am I? I completely forgot that I was at work. I didn't know where I was, what I was doing. And that's the power of these drugs. The complete loss of concentration. Like I was just, and then, thank God, I had a really good support system around me at work that they took the phone call and saying it, that my boss sat me down, like, what's going on? I lost it. I cried. I just said, this is where I'm at. This is my state. And I had to quit my job. So, that was a big low point of going, crap, this is starting to rob me of my life, and I've got to start paying attention to this. So I had a really nice apartment in Glenelg. I had really supportive parents that said, quit your job, move out of your apartment, move back in with us. It's time to recover. Now, I am so fortunate for that, and I can't thank God and my parents enough for that, because a lot of people don't have that support system.
It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah. When anyone's sick, chronically ill, support system is number one. Like, if you don't have the right support system, it's going to be very hard for you to heal. So that's
not just I guess through any sort of trauma, injury, emotional breakdown, relationship breakdown, facing major health challenges. That support network is crucial for anyone who I've spoken to, and probably yourself as well, who've come through the other end of this in a good way. They've always had that great support network around them.
Yeah, absolutely. And most people don't realize that they do. They're just too scared to open up and be vulnerable that they're going through a hard time. And so, during that, I quit my job, and I remember at that point, it hit my lows of my lows. I became very depressed, and suicidal inclinations really started kicking in, because I just wanted to be free from pain. I just didn't want to feel this pain anymore. And I remember one night particularly where I almost did it, but through that, getting to that almost my lowest point, I hit this place of surrender, and this place of like, I ended up, getting very angry at God or a creator, or that other people might think universe or energy. And I was very victim mentality. Why me? Why me? What have I done wrong to deserve this? And that's very easy for anyone going through chronic pain, trauma, depression, suicidal inclinations, any type of chronic disease. It's very easy to go into that frame of mind. And it doesn't serve us. It really doesn't serve us. We're asking the wrong question. And I remember being at the beach yelling at night time and just crying my heart out, just crying. And I just started asking God, if you're real, I'd love for you to just show me a sign or help me through this, because I'm done. I can't carry this burden anymore. And it was actually in that moment I felt this sense of peace that I can't describe, and felt that God had my back and that he was with me and said everything's going to be okay. And that made me feel just such a relief. I still felt the pain, but I just felt relieved that I'm not on my own. I don't have to carry this burden. And it was in that moment of surrender where, again, when we're victims, we just want a miracle. We want a quick drug. We want a quick fix. We want to get away from this. But in that moment, I got this message, and this is the message I share with my clients because it helps serve me to continue fighting the fight, that miracles don't provide maturity. We want that miracle. And sure, I could have got that miracle. Sure, God could have healed me. Sure, maybe a miracle drug, or I could have got the surgery. But I would have gone back to the same person I was, which was a person who really liked to drink, who loved to, get rowdy with the boys, go eat chicken snitties and do all this other stuff and kind of abuse my body a bit. But because I didn't get that miracle, I started learning all these health principles of how I can heal myself, and I've matured in that. And that was the best thing. And like I say to people, it's the worst pain I've ever been through, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but it's the best thing I've ever been through because it made me the man I am today. So to really kind of wrap that up is, I was at that point of being suicidal. And then I think in regards to talking about support systems, it was the hardest thing to admit to my parents because I had so much shame that their son was at that point. But it was the best thing I could do. And then my parents had my back, and it was a journey from there. So at that point, I was like, okay, I need to start doing stuff. So I had savings, and I just started spending it. I was seeing the chiropractor 5 times a week, seeing osteopath once a week, seeing a physio once a week, or seeing an acupuncturist once a week. I even did things, like crazy things, where I saw a guy, I kid you not, laying on a bed of nails. Right, like with these nails had like iron, silver, gold, and some other minerals in it. So it would actually pierce 2 layers of the epidermis of your skin to help draw blood and reduce the inflammation. And it was poking me with like a volcanic rock. I was doing anything and everything to reduce this pain.
Wow.
So I had food. Yeah, go.
You really obviously pulled out all stops and invested in your health. But I just want to take it back to something you said a little bit earlier. I mean, there's so much you shared. And firstly, I want to say thank you for being so open and vulnerable about what you're sharing, because there are people out there going through similar circumstances, and it may not be through a specific injury, but something else they've got going on in their life that can relate to what you have shared. I mean, you said you almost did it, and I know you were referring to suicide. So I'm so grateful that you didn't. But thank you for being so open and sharing that with us, and so much amazing information you've shared. But you mentioned there, miracles don't provide maturity. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yes. That, I've never thought of it that way, but the way you put that, the fact that it's helped you grow into, I mean, you could have received that miracle and healed, but you are now impacting other people's lives with the work that you are doing through what you have been through yourself, and not getting that quick miracle to heal. Yeah. So really honor that.
Yeah, that's been the thing that's carried me through, and it's changing the perspective. We all go through trials and tribulations, all of us. And it's coming down to, the reason we play the victim is because it's not meeting our expectation of how we thought our life would turn out. And when we can start to looking back and going, hey, maybe, just maybe, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. What if this circumstance grows me so that I can actually help other people? What if this circumstance actually helps me to become stronger so I can add more value to people's lives? And so that's the way I started to change my perspective on the nerve pain, on the injury of what I was going through depression, suicidal inclination. What if I'm meant to go through this? This is part of my life journey. And so when I started asking the what if in that circumstance, instead of going, well, why is this happening to me? I changed the question, and I encourage anyone who may be in this state of depression, suicidal inclination, pain, chronic, whatever it is, change this one question, it will change your life. Instead of why is this happening to me, go, why is this happening for me? Yeah. When you just change that 2 and 4, and you don't have to have the answer, but when you can just know maybe there's just a deeper reason I'm going through this that I can't even see into the future why, but just trust that it is going to support you and grow you and help you. Therefore, you instead of trying to resist it, because as you may know, Fatima, whatever we resist will persist, right? So if we keep
100%.
resisting this pain, we keep resisting this pain, we keep resisting this depression, we keep resisting suicidal inclinations, whatever it may be that you're resisting, will keep persisting. But when we can go, all right, I'm going to stop resisting, and I just know that it's happening for me, and I'm thankful for this, even though it's hurt, even though it's painful and ugly, and it wouldn't wish it on anyone else. This is my journey. When we can get out of the way, it kind of just stops going. It's easier to deal with. We can start walking with it rather than trying to fight against it. And so I started changing my mentality on that. And that was an easy thing to do, though. It didn't happen overnight. I had to continue to do this daily. Trust me, I had days I'm like, I don't want this anymore. Give me my miracle. But, when we can have the right support systems and we can start changing our question, our perspective on our circumstance, that's when our life can start to change and dramatically change. And for me, like, even I went through all these other alternative therapies. Yeah, as I mentioned, I had 2 cortisone injections in my neck. That did nothing. And cortisone is pure poison. That will make your bones brittle. So, if you can avoid cortisone injections, please do. I didn't know that at the time. A lot of the stuff I didn't know at the time. I just trusted my doctors. And I even trusted, when I went down to the medication, that it was doing something great for me. But over research, the side effects and the chemical imbalances it's doing to your body is just pure poison. Went to functional medicine, taking a lot of supplements, and that was costing me a lot of money. And so it kind of managed the pain, but it didn't heal it. It was like a Band-Aid, yeah? And that's what a lot of what we're doing today is because we want that quick fix. So I still hadn't found the answer, and it was about a year and a half of this journey, still in pain, trying to do everything. I couldn't find it. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm meant to get the surgery. Maybe that's part of my journey. So I accepted it, went back to the neurosurgeon, booked in for my surgery. And I was very afraid, like very scared. Many, I was crying, but I just had to trust. And it was only a week prior to the surgery, and this is what blows my mind. My mum came to me. She said, hey, look, there's this guy coming to Adelaide to speak on health, and he believes that you can heal anything through the food you eat. And I just laughed at my mum. I was like, shut up. I'm like, this is quackery. This is like, trust me, mum, I've tried everything. It's not going to work. But I went and appeased my mum. So I just went with her and listened to this guy speak for 3 hours, and it felt like 10 minutes. And I was so angry that there was this man on stage speaking about food as medicine and, holistic lifestyle medicine that I hadn't heard from one doctor, hadn't even heard from a naturopath, hadn't heard from other alternative therapies. I'm like, why has no one told me this? And I was like, he had an online program for, I think it was 12 weeks, and it was $1,500. And by that time, a year and a half, I'd spent all my life savings on alternative therapies, drugs, supplements, things like this. I had $550 actually left in my account, and the deposit on that night was $500. And I was like, Mum, let's put the surgery on hold. I want to do this. This is my last option. If this doesn't work, I'll do the surgery. So I pretty much was all in financially, and it changed my life. Now, this person that I listened to, his name's Thyself, who is now a great friend of mine. He was my teacher and mentor, and he's now my business partner and friend of mine. So what he taught me there in regards to deal with nerve pain, you're dealing with inflammation. You've got to deal with inflammation first in the body. That's the major thing. And so he taught me all principles like, going completely plant-based. Get rid of animal protein, because animal protein is highly inflammatory to the body. It's acidic. It's an acidic food. I was like, okay. And so some of your listeners can understand, I had a healthy lifestyle already. I was brought up from my mum. She very much cared about what we put into our bodies. But being back into an athletic kind of state, I thought, I need more protein. Give me the protein. I need to build my body. So I was actually, steamed vegetables, chicken breast, steak, eggs. I was eating all that.
Typical athlete kind of a diet.
Yeah, typical athlete kind of diet. And I thought that was very healthy for me. And I was still eating this way while going through all the alternative therapies, just not knowing that that wasn't actually aiding my health. And so, I was like, okay, I'll do whatever it takes. So I did some crazy things from that point. When you're in so much pain, you're willing to do whatever it takes. Saying no to meat or any type of animal protein is very easy. Like, yep, cool, no worries. So I completely went.
You've got leverage on yourself, haven't you? Like, if you're not unwell, you may not have the incentive to go and make these changes. But when people become so unwell, it doesn't happen to everyone. There's people who will get cancer, as that don't want to make certain changes. And I'm not saying there's a, one way or another way is completely right or wrong. But when you have these health challenges, sometimes you just go, you know what, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And if that means giving up something I thought I loved and couldn't live without, I don't care, because not having this pain or having a quality of life that I used to is more important than giving this up.
Yeah. And that's one of the best places to be in. Like, to be honest, like when I have my clients come in and I ask them, like, what urgency, scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want to have your healing? How badly are you willing to change? Anyone, if you says I'm at an 8 or a 10, they're people I can work with. But if they're like, oh, I'm at a 7, I'm like, not painful enough for
They're
you.
not willing to do what it takes at that point, or give up enough to make that impactful change. Personally, I had autoimmune issues after a trauma in my own life, and I never would have given up chocolate and the way I ate, which was terrible. I've not gone to had to go to the extreme that you have, but when I had vitiligo starting to creep on my face and my body, which if you don't know what vitiligo is, it's an autoimmune disease where basically your pigmentation cells are affected. I mean, Mitch, you might be able to explain this a little bit better, but I've got tanned skin and I was starting to have really white patches of skin come onto my body. So I was willing to do whatever it took to stop that, including giving up chocolate. And for anyone who knew me, I ate a lot of chocolate every single day. So I was in enough pain, basically.
Yeah. And I'm working with a client right now who has the same thing, and I'm supporting them to heal that. And it's the thing with vitiligo is the hardest thing with that is it's so visible, right? And there's a lot of like, oh gosh, I don't want to go outside, and even going outside, if you burn it, it's really tough. So there's a lot of self-confidence issues start to drop with that autoimmune disease. So that's another thing you have to deal with on the mental scale. So yeah, look, and so what, you completely healed yourself from that? Where are you at with that?
Completely healed myself. So I had to completely change my life. Not only that, after that I had alopecia because of a lot of stress that I had going on in my life. Story for another day. But I had to go back to the naturopath. As soon as I saw this bald spot, it was like the size of a 50-cent piece. I was working as a personal trainer at the time and went to the bathroom, fixed my hair, and just saw this big gap. And I went, oh my God. I kept it together for the last client, went home and basically cried for 2 days. Going like, that victim mentality, why is this happening to me after everything I've just been through and am going through? Why is this happening to me? And then I just went right back to the naturopath, and I actually went on a paleo diet then, completely changed what I was eating. I wasn't a huge meat eater anyway, but yeah, completely changed what I was eating, had to really address stress levels. And yeah, I went to the doctor. They told me to go off and have an injection in my head, and I was like, that didn't make sense to me when I did my research. So again, I went back to the naturopath and looked for alternative methods to heal. I was able to heal that. So I didn't have any further balding, and my hair grew back. And that was, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. And vitiligo, alopecia, no other autoimmune issues have come up for me. But I did have to do a lot of work on healing the gut. And it was a long process. Like, my healing was years.
Yeah, and and I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm really happy to hear that. And that just goes to show that autoimmune diseases can be reversed. You can heal yourself, and that's why I call myself a heal thyself coach. I can't heal you. Only you can heal you, right? Your body has the amazing ability. It's always wanting to heal, right? And anyone who's going through dis-ease, meaning that the body's not at ease anymore, right? And you have autoimmune diseases, or you have depression or suicidal or pain or arthritis. That's just your body communicating to you that something's out of whack, right? Your body is so intelligent that it's making you feel depressed. Like, I tell people, the reason why we go through depression is because we've got so much inflammation in the body. Inflammation, think of fire in the body, you've got fire in the brain, right? And when that happens, it normally can be like a viral issue, it can be parasites, it can be whatever. Your body, because we're such social creatures, I think it's like an evolutionary process. Well, depression, one of the biggest symptoms is isolation. So you will end up isolating yourself from social situations so that you don't pass this on to anyone, right? And and most people don't understand this. So your body works perfectly well. You're not broken. You don't need, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just something like internal inside the body, something out of whack. And so when we can get to go, okay. And that's when I did for myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, my body's communicating to me. Because the biggest thing that what I went through with nerve pain is I hated my body. I was so angry at my body for being weak and breaking down on me. And when you have that kind of mentality or relationship with your body's going to keep breaking down. You're beating yourself up. That's not going to help you with your healing process. But when I changed that perspective and gone, hang on a second, my body is actually for me. My body's communicating to me. I was like, I've abused my body. And I was like, and it's done a really good job holding me up to this point. Oh my gosh. And I end up looking at my body going, hang on, I love you. Thank you so much that you're communicating me today. Maybe I do need to lie down. Maybe I overdid it today. Thank you, body, for communicating. And now I look at my body and I just go internally in my meditation, like, what do you need? I'm now partnering with my body instead of fighting against it, right? It's like whatever we resist, persist.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right? So most people, when they get this diagnosis, right, they're like, oh, something's wrong with me. I don't like myself. All this self-doubt, and all this comes in, and it's not supportive to the healing process. It creates more stress, more inflammation. So when we can get that kind of like, hang on, my body's very intelligent, then and get on board, things start to change. And I'm really, really happy to hear and very proud of you. Like you said, it did take a while, and healing does take time. And that's why most people aren't willing to take this path, because we want that quick fix again. This didn't just, for me in the healing journey, didn't just be like, all right, a week and I was better. It took months and months and months and months of being dedicated to changing my diet, drinking good water, getting good sunshine, cleaning my, I'll go here, detoxing my body, cleaning my colon out, right? Doing things like this, doing extended juice cleanses, doing water fasts, really reducing this inflammation, and doing certain movements to help strengthen my body back again and get it back in balance. So the way it's kind of like the way we're meant to live. If we can get closer back to nature of how we're meant to live, grounding ourselves, getting to that negative charge, actually moving, going for a walk, drinking good water, getting good sunshine, eating healthy whole foods, we have to heal. But a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us wake up, chronically stressed. There's this, I don't know if you know this, I don't know, but there's two kinds of nervous systems. We've got the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And for any of the listeners, most of us in our Western society are dominated in our sympathetic nervous system. This is like your problem solving. This is your fight or flight response. This is your stress. It creates cortisol and adrenaline within the body. And we do that by, like, as soon as we wake up, we look at our phone. We start thinking about, giving ourselves to other people, what we've got to do. Crap, I'm not looking forward to this. Or crap, I've got this deadline, blah, blah, blah. And straight away, the body's like, all right, let's make more cortisol. Let's get adrenaline. Let's go. And you do that over time and distance. And we do that all day until we go to bed. And that's why we struggle to switch off. And not once are we in our parasympathetic nervous system. It's crazy.
It is crazy, and I am familiar with them, having my own health and stress issues. But how do you start, speaking about all of that and what you do in the day, how do you now start your day? What is a typical, we'll go and talk about your water fast, because guys, Mitch has done, was it a 20-day water fast?
Yeah.
So we'll
in March this year, it's 20 days.
We'll talk about that in a moment, but what is a typical day for you now that you have made all these changes? Not when you're on a water fast or a juice fast or a juice cleanse. Yeah. How do you typically start your day? Not just about your food, but just your daily practices.
Yeah, great question. So basically, I give myself time and permission to wake up gently. So first thing, when I wake up, I don't have my phone in my room. That's the first step. I have no electronics in my room. So I wake up and I go, yep, cool. And I just start like lightly stretching, kind of wiggle around in my bed. And I do this thing called 7 rounds of 7. It's breath work. And it's just, I breathe in for 7 seconds. I hold that for 7 seconds. I exhale for 7 seconds. And I hold that for 7 seconds. I do that 7 times. So I'm getting connected to my breath and my body when I wake up. Okay. So there's straight away, that's an amazing start to your day. Then what I do is I get up and I grab my water. If I have about like a liter of water, and I put like a bicarb soda, which is something completely different that I work with my clients on protocol to alkalize the body. And I'm drinking that, and I go back into my bed because it's, especially winter right now, it's comfortable. And I sit up in my bed and I grab my phone and I put a guided meditation on for about 15, 20 minutes. And I'm just breathing and listening to that. And then what I do with that is I normally would get up and do some form of movement, which I call like shake and bake, Tibetan riots, which is like helps balance your endocrine system. And I don't do that every day. Sometimes I might go to the gym instead, depending. So I have like on my off day gym, I will do that. And then basically go for a walk. All right. And that's it. I do some reading or something like this. And that's my hour. Okay. And make sure I dedicate an hour to me. All right. And some people are like, oh, I don't have the time. Well, you do. You haven't prioritized it. And trust me, sometimes I'm not perfect. I don't do that all the time. Sometimes I like nut and sleeping in, like had a late night, and that's why you got to give yourself permission. But when I get on that routine, my day is just, it's not more productive. It's just more flow. There's less stress. It's like, yep, that will get done. No, I don't have to worry about that. All very more present in my day rather than being in the future or in the past. And then I'll say the normal day would be, I don't really start eating till midday. I intermittent fast like nearly every day. It's just I'm not hungry. So I don't force myself to eat. I basically eat when I am hungry. And that normally comes around 12 or 1 o'clock. And so I normally just start with fruit or overnight soaked oats, something like that. Work, I've got my office at my home. That's how I've created my life. But I'm looking to obviously change that, get my own clinic one day. That's the goal. It's a dream. But yeah, I'm just on the screen, and I just give myself permission to get away from the screen, go for a quick walk or do something else, and come back. And I work till about 5, 6 o'clock at night. Have my last meal around 7, and do my best to switch off, which can be tough. When you run your own business and you're working with a lot of clients and supporting, that can be tough. But as long as you've got that morning routine, that's how I start it. So that's a normal day.
Yeah, how you start your days, really how you win your days. I guess what I've personally learnt over time, and speaking to so many successful people and entrepreneurs, successful not only from a business perspective, but from being in a joyful and healthy place in their life. One thing that comes up all the time is the importance of that specific morning routine, and not getting onto electronics straight away in the morning, and doing some sort of gratitude or meditation kind of a practice in the morning. It can be a little bit different for everyone, but it's a same general idea. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Gratitude is extremely important, and that's a big part of my healing journey. We can be so, like I said, we can beat ourselves up for the thing we're going through, but we don't give ourselves credit for the things that we are doing well. So, I'd be like, look, even though I'm in nerve pain, I can still walk. Man, I'm grateful for that. And it'd be the little things. And then you get into this flow of this gratitude state. And one big lesson, I share this with you, and one that helped me in my gratitude, is we can go like, oh, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my car, I'm grateful for the income, I'm grateful for this, things you already have, right?
Yeah.
But the best part of the gratitude is start being grateful for things that you are wanting to manifest, that you just trust that are going to be in your life. Because gratitude is a place of receivership, right? So when you say, look, I am so grateful that I have this business, I'm so grateful that I get to be on podcasts with people and share my passion and my joy. I'm so grateful that, one day I'll have an amazing partner that she's going to come into my life. When you can start being grateful for these things, you're going to be attracting these things. So you can be grateful for the things you don't have yet, but you want. And that's a big part of my gratefulness kind of journey and what I do on a daily basis. I normally do it at night before I go to bed. And that's how I kind of finish the day.
100% agree with all of that. Personally, I started off with having, gratitudes for, the basic things every day. Yes, I've got these terrible things going on in my life, but I've still got my health. I've got all these legal challenges, financial challenges, but a friend of mine has breast cancer and I don't. I've got my health. I'm very, very grateful that I have my health. But learning about being grateful for things in the future was something that I learned some years later. I wasn't aware of doing that. And I think it really is very, very powerful, because I guess having gratitude for things in the future requires you have faith. And you can't live in a place of fear and faith at the same time. So it just changes your perspective and your level of vibration. So thank you very much for sharing all of that, Mitchell. I'd love for you to share with us, there's so much still to speak about, and we've been going for a little while, but great content. I'd love for you to share with us what it's like to water fast for 20 days. Guys, Mitch didn't eat any food, right, for 20 whole days and just had water. So tell us why, firstly, you did that, what that was like, what challenges did you think of giving up? What was the biggest challenge to sticking to 20 days of water only? I can't imagine doing it.
Yeah, I don't recommend this for everyone. But just so people know a bit of background, in my healing journey of healing my nerve pain, I have done multiple water fasts before. So I've done multiple 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and that was the longest. I've done multiple 7 days. That's the longest I've been, and that was in my own home. That was while working, things like this. But I've done extended juice cleanses as well. I've done 14 days. So I've done a lot of cleansing before going into a very extended water fast. Okay. And that needs to be really clear for everyone. And basically, the reason I did it this time is more so I wanted to see if I could. I wasn't in nerve pain. I didn't have anything wrong with me. I just wanted to be like, you know what? I read so much about extended fasting and what it can do for the body, and not only for the body, but for your spirit and your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions. I want to see what all this hype is about, because I've read it in books. I know the power of fasting. For example, we have this new kind of science coming out called stem cell therapy. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, and basically, what they do is they get the person, they eject fat out of the person and create stem cells from their own fat. And before injecting those stem cells back into the person or where they want to heal, they'll put another injection which will lower their immune system and lower a certain protein called PKA. And PKA stops our ability to uptake stem cells. And then they inject the stem cells. And stem cells are like a neutral cell, like a blank cell that the body then goes, hey, we need more healing in the kidney or the liver or this particular bone. And then that cell will become the liver or the kidney or that bone. And it will just help really heal quickly. So science is amazing that it's created this, but stem cell therapy is expensive. It can be up to $17,000 to $50,000.
Wow.
But all that they're mimicking is fasting. Fasting actually is the stem cell therapy. When we go into a fast, when we go past 3 days, we get hit this thing called ketosis, so the body starts feeding off fat stores. And then we go into a state of autophagy, which means the body's creating, and when we hit those fat stores, the PKA drops. And therefore, stem cells are getting created while we're eating off the fat stem cells start healing the body. So that's the process. Is I believe fasting is the fastest way to heal the body of anything. But we have to prepare before we go into it. We can't just go, I want to go do a 7-day water fast, or I want to go 10 days. I don't recommend anyone do any over 7 days without any medical supervision, first and foremost. So that's very clear. And you have to get your bloods done. So for me, I had to make sure that my B12, in particular, your B12 is at a good level. You should never go into a water fast minerally deficient or vitamally deficient. If you do, you can do more damage. And that's what most people don't understand. So fasting is a science. But yeah, so I was like, okay, did my blood, everything was great. Before I did that, colon cleanse, liver and gallbladder cleanse, kidney cleanse, really ate really healthy, only ate fruit for 5 days before going into it. Bam. Picked up my tent, went to Byron Bay and pitched the tent in a caravan park and drank water for 20 days with a friend. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. It was, I think at day 8 is when it got easier. My mental strength and clarity became so strong. Day 10, I felt really good. And at the time, like the cool thing about this is where it comes down to nature and us healing and what true energy sources are, right? So we think food, we always talk about food all the time. Yeah, like diet, food, healing, food. But for me, food's like is the fourth thing we should be talking about. The first thing we should be talking about is air and breathing. That's what truly creates health. That's what helps us to get back into our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest, restore, and recovery system. So during a water fast, I'm breathing a lot. I'm intentionally doing breathing exercises, creating that energy, alkalining my body. And then what I'm doing is I'm drinking good water, and that's your second energy source, because you can't go long without water, right? So you can't go long without oxygen, you die pretty quickly. You can't go that long without air very quickly. The third source of energy is sunshine. And that's why I went to Byron Bay, because there's plenty of sunshine in Byron Bay, and they've got good beaches. So I was soaking up in there and going for a swim. And there was days where I felt like I couldn't move, because you do get fatigued during a water fast, right? You do get like light head spins, and you can feel quite heavy. And there was days I'd wake up feeling like at a 3, and I'd go to the beach, jump in the water, get some sunshine. I'd be at a 10 instantly. I'm like, bring on the day. I've got this. Drink some water. I'm fine. And not once was I hungry. And that's what shocked me. I was like, oh gosh. Because I went in there going, yeah. I was laughing with my friend. I was like, who's Clint? His name is. I was like, Clint, 10 days is a pretty good effort, right? He's like, what are you talking about? We're going for 20. I was like, yeah, I know, but like 10 days is good. Because I just didn't.
Were you considering stopping?
Well, no, I just didn't know if my body could go that long, because I'm not a big guy. I was 69 kilos. No, yeah, 69 kilos going into the water fast. Mm-hmm. And when I used to play ice hockey, I was 80 kilos. So no, I'm not a really big guy. I didn't think I had that much fat storage on my body to go 20 days. And I'll say this: the bigger you are and you've got more fat storage, the longer you can go in water fasting. Right? Okay. So I was just like, oh, okay, let's see if I can do this. And I was shocked. I felt amazing at day 10. I was like, let's keep going. I was like, 14 days is pretty good. Got 14. I'm like, nah, feel good. 17 days is pretty good. Nah, I'm going to do this. So when I definitely hit like day 12, I'm like, I've got this in the bag. And yeah, it was just more so keeping myself busy, doing the routines, breathing, drinking good water, getting the sunshine, doing some certain movements, reading good books, having good conversations, meditating. And during my water fast, I had one huge download. And that's one thing to do in water fast. You get very creative. A lot of downloads come in. It's either spiritually or mentally. Mental clarity comes in as well. I believe that we have 4 appetites in human existence. And the first appetite is your spiritual appetite, your spirit, which most of the time in the Western society, that thing is hungry all the time. That thing's starved, because we're feeding the other 3, which is your hunger, so food, right? You've got the appetite of sex. We're all driven by that. That's in our nature is to reproduce, and we're always in this like kind of almost in our day and age very lustful society, which is it takes a lot of energy out of you. And then we've got the appetite of greed. And
what was that 4th one?
Greed. So greed. Just like that. Yeah, always wanting more. Okay, that what we have is never enough. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until day 10 that this really kind of hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And what we do naturally is when we get emotional, which we are emotional beings, whether we're bored, angry, frustrated, anything like this, we eat. We're emotional eaters. We're not hungry.
Oh yeah, I can attest to that.
Right? I can attest to that. I do it. Me personally, I still do it even knowing this. We eat all the time, right? And then we keep feeding the other things like, the lust and the greed. And we never feed our spirit. We may do like a 15-minute meditation or kind of like that, but for me, that's just not enough. And when I got to do water fasting, all these other three appetites drop and your spirit appetite just gets fed because you're just internal work. You're really growing your willpower. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going without the one thing that I've gone with my whole life, and that's food, for 20 days. And when you can realize how powerful your body is, that it can go that long, even a 3-day water fast is amazing, or 1-day water fast is amazing. Intermittent fasting is amazing. When you can start saying no to food, you can start saying no to a lot of other things in your life that aren't serving you. But if you don't say no to food and food becomes your master, and you're a slave to food, which most people are, because you look on Instagram, you look at everywhere around, we're always socially around food. That's one thing we're attracted to, right?
100%.
But it's amazing. It's amazing. Food's delicious, right? We're meant to eat it, but we're not meant to eat it from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, right? It's meant to, for nutrition and to feed ourselves, not to feed our stomach. There's a difference. So when we can say no to this, and this was a big thing about me, is it's like, oh my gosh, when I can do 20 days on water, I can do anything, right? So it really kind of just changed my whole life then. And straight after the 20 days of water, I did 20 days on cold pressed juices. So I didn't go back to eating food straight away. I just drank juices. And then I slowly incorporated food for another 20 days. So that's the biggest thing, is most people break a fast incorrectly. And there's an old saying that any fool can fast, but it takes a wise man to break it. Because you have to understand that all your organs, particularly your stomach, have shrunk because they're not getting it. Your whole digestive system goes dormant, it goes to sleep. All the microvilli in your small intestine, they're asleep. So if you were to just go straight away and eat something quite high fiber and heavy, and someone was to eat meat straight away, you potentially could do more damage to your body. So you have to be very gentle, like have diluted juices, have like very soft fruit, eat in mono meals. So mono meals just mean like one thing at a time, and eat very slowly and consciously. You've got to do that and really build your body back up. The way I tell people is you've got to treat your stomach like you're a newborn. So a baby doesn't eat, whole food straight away. It drinks mother's milk, right? It's got, proteins, carbs, fats, and a lot of water, right? So that's how you kind of want to treat your stomach and introduce food back in after an extended fast. That's extremely important.
So much amazing information. I have so many questions. I want to go back to spiritual appetite. You said that you can feed your spiritual appetite, and that seems to be the most starved of the 4 appetites that we as humans have. How do you like to feed your spiritual appetite? Because obviously 15, 20 minutes is not enough to be able to do that. I had an interview with Michelle Richards. That was episode 8. If you want to go back, if anyone wants to go back and listen to it. Michelle went away on 10-day silent meditation retreats. I think it's called Vipassana. That really piqued my interest. What you've spoken about doing with the water fast has also piqued my interest. But how do you really feed yourself spiritually when you feel spiritually starved?
Yeah, great question. First and foremost is I'd stop eating. And it could be even a day, or it's definitely intermittent fasting. But it comes down to just being really, really real with yourself and being completely vulnerable and honest with yourself. And for me, what I do is I pray. For your listeners, I'm a Christian. That's my faith. That's really helped me through my journey. And I say helped me, and it still helps me today because I'm not perfect. I cannot rely on my own strength. Deep down, I am a weak person, and I can easily go to my comfort strategies. And I need that relief to go to someone I can just give all my problems, all my cares, all my worries with, and just let it go. All right? We carry that so often with ourselves, and we think we have to do all this life on our own, and that's hard. So when I can just get to a place of being real and vulnerable and surrender, so I can do that through prayer. I do that through just like listening to music in a place of worship. I do that as well with like connecting with other like-minded individuals, and that's really important. People I can talk with on this matter and being really real, and particularly for men. And I say this because we can be quite prideful creatures. I go to a men's group every fortnight, and we catch up. We jump in the ocean, even during winter. It's freezing early in the morning.
Oh, wow!
and then we have breakfast together. But then after breakfast, we get real and vulnerable. We share like, hey, I'm not doing well this week. And then you've got 10 conscious men around you going, how can we help you? All right. And that's feeding your spirit. Knowing that you've got a community around you of, people who want to help you and that you can help them too. Like Fatima and I started the call before this, and we said, iron sharpens iron, right? So, even talking to you, this is lifting my soul, this is lifting my spirit. Me sharing this information is actually kind of preaching back to myself. So, talk to other people, be vulnerable, be real, let them know that you're not doing well. Pray, meditate, worship, and get passionate. That's the biggest thing I tell people. It's one of the principles of health that I teach people is, are you spending time on your passions? And
so many people don't know what they are.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly. You know, I cried at one point, right? I was working with a 65-year-old man. He's going through a lot of health issues. I just asked, like, what do you do for you? What's your passions? And I kid you not, he looked at me with a blank face and goes, "What's a passion?" And I was just like, oh my God. So I worked with him through that half an hour. And I thought, he, as a kid, I'm like, when was the last time you rode a bike? He's like, I can't remember. I was like, all right, this is your objective this week. When you get a bike, I want you to go riding. I want you to let me know when you've done that. An hour back on, I haven't had this much fun. You know, I can't remember how long. He bought a bike and started riding, right? That lifts our spirit. That fuels our spirit, doing things that we're passionate about. That's extremely important to health. So that's what I do as well. Passionate for me, what I love doing is a few things. Like, I love learning on health. I love talking to people. I love sharing my passion. But I love getting out in nature. That's my biggest thing, is like really connecting with the negative energy of nature. And it's not a negative thing. It's a magnetic type of energy.
The negative ions?
Negative ions, yeah. So grounding myself, going for a hike, things like this, and I can just breathe. I'm good to go for like a whole week. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for getting back to nature. Can you just repeat for me, because the connection broke up a little bit. What was the age of the man you were working with that you spoke to him about what his passions were?
Yeah, 65.
65, so, yeah. And he was like, "What's your passion?" Wow.
He's like, what is a passion? I have no idea what that even is.
My goodness.
And that goes for a lot of people. They just work, and then once work's finished, they don't know what to do with their lives.
I know, and that's why people end up just unhappy and depressed, because they're like, well, what are we even doing any of this for? I used to tell my clients all the time, and something I've done for myself, and I guess I'm grateful that I have 3 sons, because when you have kids, you kind of have an excuse to be a bit more of a kid. But think about what you used to like doing as a child or as a young person, and just start there. Like you mentioned, ride a bike, that can give you so much joy. Just try it.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. If anyone's listening, that's the best thing you can do, is go back to your childhood and go, what did I love doing? And for me, I did that again. And I was like, I haven't done that in I can't remember how long. So I'm looking at buying a keyboard, and I'm going to just be in my office and give myself creative time at night. And I'm going to probably sing so badly and not play the piano well, but it's going to be fun, because you're going to reconnect to your childlike, child side, and that's so important.
Very, very important. So we've had a really lovely and long interview. I still have more questions, but I think it would be great if we did another interview at some point in the future, and just keep hashing these things out, because we haven't spoken about iridology and plant-based eating and juice cleansing, to go a little bit deeper into that. Do you have a closing message or 3 practical steps that people can easily implement to help make their health better, or if they're starting to face some sort of health challenges, nothing major, but just not feeling their best? What are 3 simple and very implementable changes that people can make?
Sure, absolutely. So first and foremost, breathe more. Get some breathing into you. Do like a breathing exercise, like I mentioned, 7 rounds of 7. That'll be really helpful. Just get connected to your breath straight away. That's number 1. Number 2, I'd say, is get out and go for a walk, and just move your body slightly. Even if you're like, you can't go to the gym, go for a walk. Start moving, because movement will change your energy. Number 1, that's a huge one. I'd say 3 is along with drinking more water, is eat more fruits and vegetables, and that's it. I'm not saying go completely plant-based, but just eat more fruits and vegetables. They're going to be really helpful. So yeah, that'd be my top 3.
Okay, beautiful. And are there any resources, any books that you recommend, and where can people find you on social media and all of that?
Yeah, so social media, Instagram, Facebook, is just Mitchell Villani. That's spelled V for Victor, ILLANI. I'll be having up my website pretty soon. I'm not doing it within a month. That'll be mitchellvillani.com. And resources, I'll just say, like, look up my mentor. He's taught me everything about the 7 Principles of Health, Tyler Tolman. He shares like free resources on like a 7-day juice cleanse and things like this on there. And he's got a lot of wealth that he's shared and knowledge that he's shared through YouTube channel as well. So they're the top ones.
Beautiful. And Tyler regularly tours throughout Australia. I've been to see him myself. So I'll pop some links into the show notes so people can connect with yourself and see if they can find some of the resources from Tyler as well. So thank you so much, Mitch. You have been incredible,
thank you,
vulnerable, and so giving. So I really honour you, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you again. It's been an honour. So yeah, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. I truly hope you have found it beneficial and have taken some value from it. Hopefully, a lot. If you did, Please share this show with anyone you feel may need to hear it. I would also absolutely love if you would take a minute or two to review this show on iTunes, Stitcher, or whichever platform you happen to be listening to it on. With your help, we can accomplish my mission to positively impact 10 million lives. That would be so awesome. Now, if you want to connect with me or my guests on other platforms, or if you want to send me an email with questions or ideas of guests to interview, please check out the show notes. I am so incredibly grateful to have had your time today, and I can't wait to have you on the next episode. Have a great day.